talaga.
May throwback yun.
May ganun talaga, ladies and gentlemen. But right now, let's head into the draft. And this is brought to you by Smart. Aura PH, Execration, nagpalit sila dito ng sides.
Yeah, I think Execration, they really benefit from the second pick draft kasi at least maka-counter mo yung Aura PH with your final last pick. Final na, no? Last pick ka. Anong nangyari sa akin? Sobrang redundant ko ngayong araw. Ang init kasi doon sa analyst stand at ngayon nilalamig ako. Sana pala lagi ako nandito. Malamig pala dito sa casting table. Pero yeah, Execration will really benefit from the second pick draft kasi nga, kita mo lahat ng heroes ng Aura PH before you make your final pick. So, something na ina-abuse din ng mga magagaling na drafters. Most of the time, yung mga last picks nakikita natin, it really destroys the enemy lineup.
Now, looking at the bans na meron dito for both of these teams, Diggy ayaw pa rin talaga pakawalan ng Execration kasi from hindsight, nakikita natin na Aura PH is one of those teams na talagang nag-utilize ng Diggy at mataas yung win rate nila doon.
Yeah.
Although not perfect,
One loss.
One loss.
Kasi I think si Blacklist has 2 loss with the Diggy.
Diba? So, it's not perfect for the side of Aura PH. May mga times na nadapa din sila with that Diggy pick. Pero, kung susumahin mo, mas marami pa rin yung panalo eh. So, just take account for it.
It's the best in the league right now.
Yan. Aura, starting off with a Ling. So, kanina binan out nila to. Ngayon naman, kinuha nila. Lord Hades, siya ang nabibigyan ng priority talaga. And I think for the side of Execration, safe ba na kumuha na sila ngayon ng isang jungle?
I think so. Kasi nakita natin, Execration, di nila pinalusot yung Selena. Something na pwedeng in-expect ni Aura PH. Now, the first pick of Aura PH is between two heroes eh. It's either the Cho, which is lumabas na for Execration, or the Ling. Kasi kapag binigay mo yung Ling sa Execration, you'd be giving the best assassin of the patch. Kasi nga, yung buff na dumating kay Ling, no, yung plus 40 damage, napakalaking impact nun pagdating sa early game. And KLVG is a Ling specialist.
Now, Execration kumuha sila ng Barats and Cho. So I'm expecting Aura PH to pick up a Lunox and something else dito sa side nila. Ano yung tingin mong slot dun sa something else na yun?
Feeling ko ito na yun eh. Kasi kapag pinalusot pa nila yung Lunox, Execration might pick it. They have a good they have 2 good Lunox players, and the thing is kailangan mo ng subsidiary core. Subsidiary para kay Link kasi you already see the Cho and the Barats of Execration, 2 picks na alam mong directly answering the Link pick of Aura PH.
Ano ba ibig sabihin ng subsidiary?
Subsidiary ibang term, secondary core. Secondary core.
So ibig sabihin, if ever man hindi kulang yung damage output dito ng Ling o hindi siya maging successful, i-supplement mo. So this is going to be a Lunox, and tama nga si Midnight, it's a secondary core para sa side ng Aura. Execration right now, given na dalawa na tong nakuha, and actually may sagot naman sila with sabihin natin, with the Cho. I think Pakito is good, pero Kagura ang pinili ng Execration.
I understand the idea kasi alam ni Execration na si Benny QT yung maglalaro ng Lunox. So as much as possible, you'd want to remove the Heroes of Greed once again, no? Wala nang Barats, okay? Wala nang Game 1 possibility. Walang Matilda, walang Selena. Now, Aura PH is locked in with the Farsa. Either that or Natalia. So I understand perfectly the reason why they picked up the Kagura immediately for Execration. Pero again, Pakito is still up for contention between these two teams.
Alam mo, ngayon tinitignan kong pabalik yung ginawa dito ng Aura PH. Parang handa talaga sila na lumabas yung Kufra ni Chakno nung game number 1 eh. Kasi yung mga bagay na i-formulate mo lang kung meron talagang sobrang galing na Kufra player dun sa likod. Ibibigay mo yon, ipapain mo siya, nung komportable na siya, tsaka mo siya binatuhan ng curveball, tsaka mo siya binatuhan ng distraction na, ay, may Barats pala kami.
Pero feeling ko this time around, sabi ng Aura PH, ang galing. Ang galing mag-Kufra. Ban na lang natin.
Well, kahit may Barats sila, hindi pala Barats, kahit may Barats sila. Natalunan ang dapat matalunan eh.
Sabi ng Aura talaga yun, huwag natin bigay. Imagine mo, second ban. Saka nakakita ng team na nagsa-second ban ng Kufra.
Well, actually nga, nawala na nga yan sa kadar eh. Pero, Hindi na nga pinipik ng kakamihan, halos, pero dahil lang sa isang Chakno, nakikita mo na sa second spot ng first phase banning for the side of Aura PH. Execration on the other hand, Angela naman ang tinanggal nila. Tapos si Aura, Lance ang ayaw nila ibigay kay Kiel. So pinipilit nila si Kiel na pumili ng ibang hero dito.
Yep, they want to force Execration to play a marksman, pero if they want to do that, they should ban out the Hayabusa. And ang ganda nung Natalia ba na, they're really forcing Greed to play the Farsa. Something na mas pabor sa kanila kasi meron silang panghuli and at the same time meron namang sustain with the Barats. And ang kailangan sila nang gawin dito is overwhelm Aura PH pagdating sa mid-game engagement. So they really need to force out Aura PH to pick the Farsa for Greed.
Mas gusto nila yung Hayabusa.
Oo.
Kasi tinanggal nila yung Granger and to be honest, Midnight, ngayon ko lang to nakita. Granger, hindi siya napili sa first phase at naban siya sa pinaka 5th slot ng banning.
Grabe, grabe yung flex ng dalawang team natin. Pero I get it na mahirap din kasi laruin yung Granger against mahirap laruin yung laro ng Aura PH against a Granger even though you have a Ling. Number 1 ang kayang gawin ng Granger is burst down Benedetta and Lunox before they push objectives here for the enemy side. And mas maganda na maglaro ka ng Lunox against Hayabusa kasi kapag nag-shadow kill yan, what you can do is Order of Brilliance.
Nostra, ladies and gentlemen, Hayabusa nga ang pinili ng execution.
Mathematics.
And it's not because nakita din talaga natin tong mangyayari. It's because pinilit or pinersa ng Aura PH na gamitin talaga to ng execution. Kasi alam nila na hindi rin magiging maganda kung ipipilit nila yung Claude.
Yep.
And isa lang naman to sa mga possible piliin nila. And talagang nadikdik dito yung jungle ng execution. Pero Aura PH,
Curveball na
naman.
Grid Lunox.
Wow. Kilowash picking up that Alice and JP kinuha yung backshot. Now, hindi ko naman sinasabi na sila na yung gagamit niyan. Pero, sila yung dalawang pumili kasi sila yung nasa last slot. Execution.
Harith.
Ano ang gagawin nila? Will they go for a Harith? I agree, Kelra could play the Harith.
Yeah, this is an easy Harith game. Even though may Lunox, yung Aura PH, I think you're forgiven. You're given a pass to pick Harith here just because of the fact na nakaling Alice and Baksha yung Aura PH. It's really a good last pick for Execration if they want to go for it. Kasi ang ibang option lang nila dito is Esmeralda.
Esmeralda or Harith. And they will go for a Harith. Ladies and gentlemen,
We did not, guys, relax lang kayo.
The connection.
Hindi kami galing sa future, no? Hindi kami galing sa future ni Kyrie yun.
Kyrie.
Pero, magagaling na talaga yung drafters ng dalawang team.
Given the idea na itong dalawang to nagtagisan ng talino and pinili naman nila yung mga heroes talaga na magiging beneficial para sa kanilang dalawa. Ngayon, may mga sagot yung Aura, may mga sagot yung Execration. Now, Midnight, if I'm going to ask you, since you are the analyst, sino ang nakalamang sa draft?
Execration, hands down. This is probably the best draft of Execration I've seen in the tournament. It's two things. It directly answers Aura PH, and this is the first time that I've seen Aura PH try to adjust their draft not to get outdrafted, pero they still got outdrafted. Kasi kinerveball yung Lunox pero na-outdraft pa rin sila nung Harith last pick.
So, both teams, may mga sagot-sagot sila dito, but remember, 50% of the battle is the draft, and the other 50% nandoon sa Celestial Palace. This is game number 2, Aura PH versus Execration. If gusto tayong dali na Execration ng game number 3, kailangan nila manalo dito.
Yep, they have the best chance this time around. The Hayabusa can easily snowball on the early game. Kasi pag tinignan natin yung heroes ng Aura PH early game, they have no early game movements aside from Kilowash trying to make rotations on the Benedetta. But again, looking at the side of Execration, they have the Barats and they have the Kagura. Tapos meron pa silang Cho na kayang tumulong din pagdating sa pickoffs.
Si Chakno nandito na rin at pinipilit niya talagang kulitin unti-unti. And yung pagiging involved niya na ganyan, hindi naman niya talaga focus na nakawin yung purple. Ang gusto niya gawin doon is, yes, siguro manakaw yung purple, pero the main objective ng pagpunta niya doon is to force Lord Hades na gumamit ng retry.
Yep, parang yung ginawa din ng Aura sa kanila nung game number... actually, Execration din pala gumawa nun nung game number 1. And the thing about this rotation from Chakno is it makes it sure na Aura PH ililish nila si Lord Hades kasi kung hindi nilish ni JP yung Ling kanina, ilang sipa yung aabutin ng Ling bago niya makuha yung purple buff.
A lot of thought process na nabato doon sa maliit na segment ng laro, pero still it makes all the difference in the world para dito sa dalawang teams na to. Execration on the other hand, Kelra level or level 3, parehas rin ni Benny Cutie. And looking at the late game potential netong dalawang teams, since may Alice din sa baba, may Harriet din sa baba, ano nga ba yung tema or yung timing or yung pulso ng late game dito for these two teams?
Honestly, Execration, yung timer sila dito is wait for the late game ni Harith. They don't essentially have to do anything on the early parts of the game kasi si Aura yung pwede mag-dictate nun. But again, nasabi natin kanina na medyo limited yung early game movement sila. That's why they need to force this one out. And I really like the lane choice here of Aura PH. Ang iniipit nila is yung gold lane kasi eto yung primary win condition ng Execration, the Harith. But, Butters, ang side effect nun is you're giving the other opposite side of the map to the Hayabusa.
And then again, Midnight, ito lang yung sasabihin natin dyan. If ever dun kayo sa taas pumunta, mapapatay nyo yung Barats, pero madami kayong resources na gagamitin.
Yes,
and that
yes,
also
yes.
means na yung objective ay hindi na din mapupunta sa inyo.
Yep, that's why you're already seeing the gold going to the side of Execration. Even though 400 or 100 lang yan, the key element here is that Execration sila ang lamang sa late game. Yes, may lunok sila for the side of Aura PH against the Harriet. But again, you have 3 heroes on your side na lugi kay Kelra.
Ito yung napapansin ko, parang hindi talaga nagbibigay ng kahit anong priority dito yung side ng Aura sa pagdating ng first turtle. And right now, JP, napili siya ni KelVJ. The shurikens will come out, pero hindi enough yung marks para gawin yon.
Yeah.
And especially pag may 4 cards ka, hoy! Doon sa baba!
Solo kill!
Ng kill! Pero sabi ni Lord Hades, sige, susubukan kita ibawi. Chakno nandito sa may area. And Benny Cutie, wow, nakuhaan siya ni Kelra ng isang kill.
That was a solo kill, ladies and gentlemen. Even though lugi naman talaga sa matchup, pagdating ng level 4, it actually changes. Kasi si Benny Cutie, ang kailangan niya lang gawin dito is clear the waves. Pero sabi ni Kelra, MVP ka 2 linggo
Alam mo, eto na yung pinag-uusapan natin. Meron 2 Azure Blade si Harris.
Oo.
Bakit nga ba siya meron 2 Azure Blade dito?
Kasi nagpo-proc yan, sabay. Kumbaga, ano yan, isipin nyo guys na individual items yan. Na kahit 2 yung bilhin nyo, hindi lang isa yung proc, kundi 2. And those 2 items can be converted into Calamity Reaper and Thunderbelt. Napakaganda nung huli ni KelVJ against Lord Hades.
Shadow kill, shuriken, kahit tumalbog pa yun sa iba, doesn't even matter. KelVJ still got the kill.
Yep. And alam mo, Butters, going back do sa Thunderbelt idea ni Kelra, it's actually good against Aura PH. Pero ang daming engagement dito, Butters!
And wow! Yung plano ng Aura na pinipressure nila yung bottom lane, Execration answers it with their own pressure at mas naging successful sila doon.
Yep, alam mo, sabi nila, ito pala primary win condition nyo, si Benny Cutie pala. Siya na lang, guguluhin namin kasi yung Barca sa may top lane, kahit namatayan, okay lang, wala silang pakialam.
And ang daming nagamit na resources, as you can see, nagamit, actually, ilang ultimates yun? Apat na ultimates, just to take down Renjo.
Barats yan. Ang ginagawa lang naman ng Barat, stay lane, keep the stacks. Pag nakuha niya na yung Guardian's Greaves, yung Guardian's Helmet, join the fights!
Join the fight! M2 World Championship.
Yup.
Dito naman sa may turtle side, KelVJ, he's gonna try to get this turtle. At pinaproc niya yung mga shadows kasi meron din naman kahit paano damage dyan.
Yep.
Min-maxing kung anong meron ka doon sa may taas, may push na nagaganap, pantay na sila ng baba, 1-1 sila sa turrets. And looking at this, KelVJ, nakuha pa nila yung orange buff ni Ling.
Oo, pero alam mo, efficiency yung ginagawa ni KelVJ. Yung pagkatapos yung turtle, makaka-shadow out siya.
Oh, and look at that. Reset yung turret damage.
Oh!
At Greed napilitang umalis. At titingnan natin kung paano siya makakatakas dito. Eto Max, nasa area na din. Meron pa ba siyang brilliance para makatakbo? Yes, meron pa. Pero grabe yung rotation na ginawa dito na side ng Aura. Napakalayo niyan from coast to coast. Pero walang mangyayaring pick-off or walang mangyayaring fight.
Yep. Alam mo, ang lupit din talaga ni Kilowash. If it was any other player, they would have chased the Harriet kasi alam nila na wala naman na summon force even though magko-cooldown yun, kayang-kaya niya patayin yun within the time frame. Pero kasi kakakita niya ng Kichakno. So iniisip niya na baka kahit habulin ko tong Harriet, baka mapatay ko, pero mahuli naman ako ni Chakno. So there's a lot of risks involved there with the Benedetta trying to chase for the kill. So ang sabi ni Kilowash, disengage na lang ako.
Okay, so Renjo nahuli, Chaos Darkening, ginamit lahat, binomba si Renjo. Sama mo na si Lord Hades, 0-3 si Renjo, pero ginagawa niya lang din yung trabaho niya talaga eh.
Oo, alam mo, sabi ni Kelra dito, Renzo, trabaho mo rito, mamatay kasi kailangan ko mag-farm. And right now, KelVJ is trying to return the favor against Aura, pero lalaban pa rin ang Aura PH.
Ang ganda na huli ni Benny Cutie.
Flick out!
Just in time. Eto Max, nagkahulihan na. Lord Hades goes down. KelVJ gets a kill on Benny Cutie. At ang daming nawawala dito sa side ng Aura. Pero sabi ng Aura PH dito, mas kumpleto kami. Make that a 3-for-2 trade in the favor of Aura PH.
Pero ito, tignan mo yung trademark ni Kelra. Alam kasi ni Kelra kung kailan siya lalaman at kung kailan siya bababak. Ginamit yung Zaman Force to clear the wave in the middle lane. Pero ang primary answer ng execution dito is just to farm.
Pare, you're so conyo.
I'm so conyo, pare. I'm so sorry.
Conyo, pare.
Look at this! 4.7k on both KelVJ and Kelra. Oh, nakuha yung turtle pero nasipa si Killwash.
And Kilowash will be the target. Kelra nakuha.
Nakita mo yung pinipredict niya yung dash ni Benedetta. Sabi niya, dadash na dito eh.
Well, kailangan din talaga kasi tamaan. Yun yung isa sa mga downside ng Chrono Dash eh.
Oo.
Yes, maganda yung Chrono Dash, mabilis mag-cooldown, pero pag hindi mo natama, hindi rin mag-off cooldown.
Pero yung ano talaga, yung Synchro Fisher, pinipredict niya kung saan dadaan si Killwash. Kaso masyado siyang pogi. Sabi niya, sige, tira ko na lang.
Oh, yeah, well, nakuha niya naman yung kill.
Yeah.
Hindi naman nagmamatter kung na-predict niya o hindi as long as he gets the kill. Now, Benny Cutie. Grabe yung pressure sa kanya and looking at his score right now, 0-3-4.
Oo, this is probably the hardest game for Benny Cutie in the entire tournament. We've been seeing the shutdowns on Aura PH, but we've never seen Benny Cutie shut down on his Alice. Right now, he's trying to recover yung nawala sa kanya sa bottom lane while Kelra is just completely snowballing. And again, the nature of this matchup, lamang ang Harit Butters.
Doon sa may baba, merong pick-off na nagaganap and Renjo, mapapa-flicker out lang siya. Nahuli siya nung Flowing Blood at nung root ng Alice. At sinamahan pa ng Chaos Darkening, pero dahil nga sa flicker siya ay mabubuhay. At marami ng buhay na nasalba ang flicker.
Yep.
Pero ngayon, nandito
siya
na
naman.
At siya na naman ang pinili. At siya na naman ang uulihin. And Renjo, mauhuli siya ng Tempest of Blades. Pero still, the fact remains, ginamit mo pa rin yung Tempest of Blades. So that means, dito sa ginagawang push ng side ng Execration at doon sa gagawin nilang push sa taas, wala kang Tempest of Blades.
Yeah, the thing is, Aura PH, they're getting what they can. Kasi ang problema, hindi rin nila kaya contest yung Hayabusa and yung Harit at this point. So Execration, they're happy with that. Even though ang nasasaktan dito is Renzo, no, yung item build-up ng kanyang sustain item might be delayed. But again, his job in this game is to sustain for his teammates. It doesn't matter if he dies or not kasi ang importante, mag-scale towards the late game ang Execration. Again, napag-usapan natin kanina, walang kailangan gawin ang Execration kundi mag-farm. Just have the items ready on KelVJ and Kelra. Oh!
KelVJ, siya ang unang tutumba. JP, nahuli siya. Kelra dito, just unloading on the side of Aura PH. Greed, nahuli ni Eto Max. At Greed, matutumba. Nandito na si Kilowash and look at that electro final blow sa kita ng madami. Benny Cutie, ayaw na niyan.
Muntik na. Ang ganda sana ng pasok ni Benny Cutie. But on the bottom lane, Lord Hades, dito siya nakilala. Kahit nung nasa Signal Ultra pa siya, the split push off the leg. The question is, may Malefic Roar ba? Pero Execration, a-answer nila yung pag-split push ng Ling with the Barats. Hindi enough yung time na nakuha niya to get the turret on the bottom lane kasi may shield pa naman.
But still, this has to be something na kailangan bantayan ng Execration. Yung buhay ng bot lane nila, ibig sabihin, kailangan na nila i-wave manage lahat-lahat na nangyayari dito sa mapa as to not get split by that Ling.
Ito yung punishment na binibigay ni Lord Hades against Execration. Sabi nila, paulit-ulit yung binigay yung lane ni Renzo. Ngayon, eto yung bubutasin ko. Execration needs to put Renzo on the bottom lane at all times to clear the wave. And it makes it so na laging 5v4 ang engagement in favor of Aura. Kasi alam nila, sila nagdidikta. Pwede nilang bilangin yung hero sa mapa. Si Renzo lang yun sa bottom lane.
And Renzo, primary target, wala siyang magagawa. Yan talaga yung trabaho niya. Pero Divine Glaive, nakuha na ni Greed. At merong away na mangyayari dito. 4v5 situation. And Greed! Nahuli ni Chaknu! Make that a 4v4. JP ang next natutumba. Benny Cutie going in. Shadow kill. Kumapit kay Benny. Hindi siya makakatapos. Kilowash goes down. Lord Hades nasa baba. Lord Hades nasa baba. At hindi niya na mapupush yan.
Yeah, makiklear na ni Chakno yan. And ito yung sinasabi natin kanina, Butters, Execration, sabi nila, sige, pagpapatay-patayin nyo si Renzo, ang papatay namin yung kakampi nyo. Kelra with the deciding move. Sabi niya, ilaban natin to. He was able to get the kill wash.
Mababasag ata yung baba.
Basag yung baba, pero okay lang. Lord yung kapalit, Kuya Butters.
At eto, no. Hindi nabasag.
May minion.
Hindi nabasag.
Wala, kung previous patch to, basagin.
Oh, pero still, it is what it is. Kamunti ka na yun.
Oo.
Kamunti ka na. Well, it was a great move then from Renzo na na-realize niya na, ay, teka, may minions pa pala. Kailangan ko bumalik doon.
Teka guys, yung bot ko.
Yung bot ko. Ngayon, yung side naman ng Aura, talagang inaano nila, sana meron tayong trade na makuha dito kahit nakuha nila yung Lord.
I like the choice here by Kelra. He went for Calamity Reaper. Hindi niya tinapos yung Thunderbolt kasi alam niya na hindi naman siya kaya ng Ling. Feather, Oracle to sustain against the... Feather, Oracle na nagsama. Yung Oracle to sustain against the Lunox and the Holy Crystal. Para... Kasi ang different route dito is the Divine Glaive. Pero maganda yung Holy Crystal for the surge of the magic power during the Zaman Pool.
And it's somewhat of it's a somewhat answer din indirectly.
Oh!
Para kay JD. Pero alam mo, nakita mo kung anong ginawa nila dito. Kelra just letting his talent show dito sa game na to. At si Ling nandun. Nandun na naman siya. Pumunta siya doon para mag-recall.
Ang layo ng minion wave. Sabi niya, teka, ang layo pala. Hindi ko pa pala.
Kailangan ko na umalis dito. Awit sa inyo, pre.
Awit, Lods. May nag-call kasi, uy, Lord Hades, push mo yung bot. Pagdating niya, pre, wala namang minions, pre.
Wala namang awit sa'yo. Awit sa'yo. Idolo.
Alam mo, Butters execution dito, naghihintay na lang sila. Probably the next Lord, pero kaya nilang i-take yung natitirang dalawang towers ng Aura PH. Pero again, the next Lord is gonna be the main point of contention for these two teams. The problem is, for Aura PH, there's no real way for them to actually contest against execution because of the existence of the Barats.
Lord Hades, yung energy niya, may energy gap. Pero dahil yan, wala siyang purple buff dito. Wala siyang purple buff eh.
Oh, wala siyang purple buff. Kulang, energy gap. Alam mo na, next.
Kailangan maglaro ka ng champion way. Mga champion mga kasama mo eh. Energy gap, di pwede.
Pag ano ka, may champion way ka, kahit wala kang purple buff.
Start your day the champion way.
Nice one. No need purple buff.
No need purple buff. Pero kasi kailangan mo yun eh. Kasi energy is key.
Oo, tama. Actually, pati si di ba? Pati si Hayabusa.
Oh,
energy is key. Dapat champion way eh.
Start your day the champion way.
Pero champion na si LBG. Kaya lakas niya rito. Oy! Speaking of champions, Lord Hades, takbo! Hindi niya kayang patayin si Etomax.
Nagtatatakbo parang akyat bahay, ladies and gentlemen. And Lord Hades, wala siya magagawa eh. Kailangan niya pihitin talaga yung Tempest of Blades. And that is another opening na pwedeng gamitin ng execution sa sarili nilang pagkuha ng fights. Walang Tempest of Blades, pwede tayo lumaban.
Yep. 70 seconds. The condition now for execution is to freeze the lane. Prevent Aura PH from getting the resources that they want.
Nahuli! Nasipa! Walang Tempest of Blades. Ito yung sinasabi nating opening midnight.
Grabe! Chuck 2! With a Chuck Mamba! Sabi niya sa mga kampi niya, pre, walang lipad to, pre!
And I think yun talaga yung mismo mong naging call.
Oo!
Walang lipad to, pre!
Walang lipad to, pre! Tara, go natin!
And this looks like something Execration has dreamt about dito sa game number 2 na to. All turrets, well, not all turrets, but 2 out of 3 turrets are down sa side ng Aura base. And Execration, may freedom sila magpapasok na sa base ng Aura PH if ever they want to. But the fact remains, auto-push na yung mid at yung bot.
Yeah. Oy, grabe. Si Kelra, binenta niya isang Nimble Blade, hindi niya tinapos yung Thunderbolt. He went for the Athena. Kasi alam niya na ang papatay sa kanya dito is si Lunox, pati na rin si Alice.
Ah, yung Azure Blade.
Oo, yung Azure pala.
Yung Azure, yung Nimble.
Nimble. Oo, kulay white yun. Yung Azure Blade, yung kulay blue.
Oh, yan.
Yan, yan si Lord.
Ito na si Lord. Si Lord Hades. Nandito na naman sa baba.
Ang daming Lord, no?
Uy, alam mo, ito lang yung tinitignan ko dyan kung paano talagang makakahuli na naman dito si Chucky.
Oh, uy.
Grabe naman yung flickering.
Oo, pero flicker yun. Na-burn.
Flicker ang na-burn. But then again, since mobile naman ang isang JP with the backshot, pwede na lang siya gumulong papasok ng laban.
Yeah.
Although, wala siyang extra mobility para makatakas doon sa fights.
That's gonna be a problem against the Haret, no? Kasi kapag nakulong kay Zaman Force, kahit pa sabihin natin makagulong ka, ang daming ways for execution para pigilan yung paggulong ni Baksha. Oy! Chokdo! My goodness, with the flicker! Nahuli si Grid!
No, what a player. Legit, 100%. Yung mga bagay na ginagawa niya dito is making all the difference para sa ng execution and your order of brilliance. Hindi magiging available, and Jackno with that game-winning play. This winning moment is brought to you by Head and Shoulders.